Are you aware that in the lawsuit that Mr. Driscoll filed against you and the FBI, he was asked who he voted for?
Since that lawsuit has been filed, it's ongoing litigation, I'm not able to comment.
Well, but it also means that you just said that what happened in his situation didn't happen. So we will go on to the next question. Let me ask you an even easier one. Does firing agents for working on the cases that they were assigned to and that the president didn't like, is that politicization of the FBI or making personnel decisions based on performance and adherence to the law?
The FBI doesn't terminate anyone based on case assignments alone.
Has the FBI ever been sued by somebody who felt that they were terminated based on case assignments?
In the entire history of the FBI, I'm sure they have.
No, since your tenure.
I'm sure there's ongoing litigation.
Yes. In fact, there is ongoing litigation.
Hey everyone, glad to have you back on the channel. I'm Bran Cooper. During this hearing, Kash Patel swore under oath that the FBI would remain free from political influence. Yet, instead of debating him, Representative Deborah Ross employed a more impactful strategy. She recited his own statements to him and dissected how his behavior seems to clash with his vow. It's this stark contradiction that makes this moment so noteworthy. Let's delve into it further.
I'm going a little out of order here because I'm going to pursue some of the things that you were just talking to Mr. Fry about and remind you about your confirmation hearing. At your confirmation hearing in January, you said under oath, and I quote, "There will be no politicization at the FBI. There will be no retributive actions taken by the FBI should I be confirmed." And in your written response to the Senate questionnaire, you said, I quote, "Personnel decisions shall be based on performance and adherence to the law, and every FBI employee will be held to the absolute same standard, and no one will be terminated for case assignments." So I want to just go through a couple scenarios with you to get a sense of whether you think these are examples of politicization of the FBI or making decisions based on the performance and adherence to the law. So, first question. Would hiring FBI agents, analysts, and supervisors from only one political party being politicization of the FBI or making personnel decisions based on performance and adherence to the law?
We don't ask FBI people, applicants, where their political parties are.
Mr. Patel, do you ask FBI applicants who they voted for?
The FBI does not.
Are you aware that in the lawsuit that Mr. Driscoll filed against you and the FBI, he was asked who he voted for?
Since that lawsuit has been filed and it's ongoing litigation, I'm not able to comment.
Well, but it also means that you just said that what happened in his situation didn't happen. So we will go on to the next question. Let me ask you an even easier one. Does firing agents for working on the cases that they were assigned to and that the president didn't like, is that politicization of the FBI or making personnel decisions based on performance and adherence to the law?
The FBI doesn't terminate anyone based on case assignments alone.
Has the FBI ever been sued by somebody who felt that they were terminated based on case assignments?
In the entire history of the FBI, I'm sure they have.
No, since your tenure.
I'm sure there's ongoing litigation.
Yes. In fact, there is ongoing litigation. And in fact, people have been asked who they voted for. And in fact, you are running an FBI for the President of the United States rather than the people of the United States, because my questions were not hypotheticals. They are the things you have done during your tenure. And according to a lawsuit filed last week by long-term FBI agents, you fired former acting director Brian Driscoll. He had served with the Bureau for nearly 20 years, earned a Medal of Honor, Medal of Valor for bravery during the dangerous ISIS raid and had a wealth of crisis response experience and led the FBI's Critical Incident Response Group. When the Trump administrations interviewed Mr. Driscoll for that role, they interrogated him about his political leanings and who he voted for in the last 5 elections. Questions Mr. Driscoll refused to answer because those types of questions impermissibly politicized the FBI. You also fired Steve Jensen, who served the FBI for nearly 2 decades and ran critical terrorism, counterintelligence, and organized crime operations, whom you once described as embodying what the American public demands of the FBI. But he was fired because he took part in investigating crimes committed on January 6th. And Trump's MAGA base lambasted you online for keeping him at the FBI. So he's no longer at the FBI. You also fired a decorated combat veteran with decades of experience in the Bureau, Special Agent Walter Jardia, because he worked on the investigation into the Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election and helped investigate Trump's ally, Peter Navarro. Director Patel, it is very clear that you have flunked your own test. You've put saving your job, which I actually believe you were being honest about during your confirmation hearings, over doing what's right for the FBI and the American people. That is not adherence to the law. Thank you, and I yield back.
What makes this interaction so remarkable is that Deborah Ross refrains from using rhetoric, instead basing her argument on documented facts. She anchors the entire discussion with Kash Patel's own sworn testimony during his confirmation hearing. Explicit quotes, not personal views or analyses. Patel had assured there would be no politicization within the FBI, no retaliatory measures, and no dismissals tied to case assignments. That vow is significant because the FBI's credibility hinges on impartiality. If agents start thinking their careers depend on political loyalty, the rule of law doesn't just fall apart overnight, it slowly crumbles from within. Ross employs a methodical and quietly devastating approach by comparing that promise to real-life scenarios. She starts broadly, questioning whether making hiring or firing decisions based on political bias fits the definition of politicization. Patel provides a cautious, legalistic, and evasive response. Ross then narrows her focus. She cites intervening legal battles claiming FBI staff faced questioning over their voting choices. Patel finds refuge in the usual defense employed during oversight hearings, ongoing litigation. It's at this point Ross shifts from theories to established facts by naming individuals. First, Brian Driscoll, a nearly 20-year FBI veteran, Medal of Valor recipient, and leader of the Bureau's Critical Incident Response Group. According to the lawsuit cited by Ross, Driscoll faced questions about his political views and voting history and was terminated shortly after refusing to answer due to the politicization of the Bureau by such inquiries. Next is Steve Jensen, an experienced official leading terrorism, counterintelligence, and organized crime operations. Patel had previously lauded Jensen as embodying what the public expects from the FBI. However, Jensen was involved in January 6th investigations, and as political pressure mounted, he was edged out. Then there's Walter Gardina, a decorated combat veteran let go after working on cases concerning Russian interference and Trump-aligned individuals. Once more the pattern emerges, experience, service, and capability take a backseat to political considerations. Ross's argument lacks emotionality, but is precise in its structure, illustrating how politicization occurs, not through one sweeping purge, but through a series of personnel choices pointing in one direction. Those linked to politically sensitive investigations are ousted. Those posing challenging questions are marginalized. Leadership claims each case is unrelated until the pattern becomes glaringly obvious. So when Ross tells Patel that he's failed his own test, it resonates because she's already established the point. The test wasn't set by Democrats or critics. Patel himself defined it. No reprisals, no political litmus tests, no dismissals tied to casework. Ross outlines, stage by stage, how those principles failed in real-life application. This exchange also highlights something apparent to many but often unspoken. Organizations don't collapse abruptly. They deteriorate when institutional knowledge is eroded, when distinguished professionals are swapped with less seasoned staff, and when fear starts replacing autonomy. An FBI concerned with political considerations becomes one that hesitates, and hesitation in law enforcement can significantly impact public safety. Ross wraps up not by questioning Patel's aspirations, but by scrutinizing his priorities, maintaining one's position versus acting in the FBI's best interest. This contrast is at the core of congressional oversight. Congress isn't supposed to manage the FBI daily. It ensures the Bureau remains committed to the Constitution, not a particular leader or political agenda. This moment is vital not due to any heated exchanges or drama, but due to its lucidity. Ross didn't lead with accusations. She led with quotations. She avoided guesswork and instead provided evidence. In doing so, she illustrated how promises made under oath can be scrutinized and laid bare through subsequent actions. If this explanation helped you grasp why this discussion is crucial beyond the headlines, give the video a thumbs up so others see it. Subscribe for more insightful, evidence-based commentary on hearings and accountability. I'm Brian Cooper, and I'll continue to dissect instances where power is held accountable by its own declarations.